Hello, I'm back here today with the Lefima kit, which I bought recently on eBay for £62. Now, this drum kit's a bit of a mystery. However, I have been doing some research, and some very kind viewers have sent me as much information as it seems is available. However, I do know that this drum kit is Lefima, and I know that they're a German manufacturer, and I also know that this is a finish apparently called Raspberry Ripple. In this video, I'd like to find out exactly what's missing from the kit. I have been trying to find some spare parts on eBay, and that's yielded absolutely nothing at all. But for now, let's have a look through the box of bits, which we didn't really explore properly last time. But we're going to take the skins off, find out how many lug boxes are missing, find out if the tom brackets are there, how it all mounts up, and exactly what I need to try and find. Now, to perform this monumental engineering task, I have bought with me the Drill It, Fix It, Drill Bit and Tool Kit, which to me sounds like a Daft Punk song. If there are any spiders in this, then I'm moving house. Or this becomes a giveaway video. There is a dent in this rim, so they're not quite round. I know, by the way, I should be using a slotted key, but there's not a lot of tension on these, and I will be careful. But if you have a kit with slotted tension bolts like these, you really should use a drum key. I'd love to get this kit playing again, but my fear with it is I just don't think I'm going to find the parts, you know? It's so unusual, but it would be great to get it playing and do a gig. Oh God, I got to take this. I'm really not good with spiders. I mean, if something leaps out like Alien. Yeah, it's fine. And now I can see how it works, because it clearly pushes that away. The rod or whatever would go in at an angle, or go in straight, sorry, and then this would clamp at an angle and just hold it in place. I don't know if this has been like retrofitted. Somebody said that these look like sonar fittings. Do you think it has, hasn't it? It's been changed because, well, clearly it has, because there are 4 holes here. So whatever the original tom bracket was, I don't have it. I wonder if they are sonar. Which makes me think, I wonder if these are sonar. But nobody's mentioned it, and I mean, sonar people would know, wouldn't they? Got a built-in dampener. That probably is original. Could otherwise be a Premier one, similar era. But there are quite a few holes in this drum. You know what? This is a rewrap, you know. This has been recovered. Can't see it there. That looks fine, doesn't it? There are 4 holes here, and the wrap goes straight over the top. And it's the same story on this side. This has been butchered. I mean, I sort of thought it had, but this has definitely been butchered. I don't think Lefima made a Russian doll drum kit in the 1960s. This is probably in worse nick than I first realised. But that's okay, we still love it, it's fine. Okay, let's look at this box of bits then. We only had a very brief look through this last time. We were looking at these very strange bass drum legs, which have got bits of wood in them. Let's see if these fit anyway on the bass drum first of all, because that's really the question we need to start answering. I'm thinking then that these, that's obviously the same as that. So when it said spares, somebody must have found another one of these kits. What I think I should try and do is actually fit one of these, and let's see if we can make the bass drum at least stand up. That would be progress, wouldn't it? It would appear I don't own any spanners, so I'm going to go and buy some spanners. I will find. Here we are, the promised land, B&M bargains. Oh yeah. £14. I'm not spending 14 quid, mate. The kit ain't worth that. I bought the Rolsons. I'm back. Now I had a thought whilst purchasing this quality tool set here. If these are sonar parts, that would make sense, because, you know, if it's German, you would have access to sonar parts. The problem with that, sorry, how do I open these? I am the most incompetent tradesman. Who has done this? Oh, do you just slide them out? No. What? Oh. Brilliant. Okay. Yes, there you... That was all I needed. That was 14 quid, that was. I hope you're happy. It would make sense that you'd have sonar bits. The problem with that is it's a bit like having an old kit car that's worth about 50p and saying it's okay, we can't find the parts, so we'll just replace them with vintage Lamborghini ones. Sonar bits don't tend to be that cheap, and people don't tend to break sonar kits very much. But anyway, let's take this off and see if we can work out what's going to happen. There we go. That's good. Got that off there. And let's drop one of these through and see if we can get it to fit. I'm just going to drop these spares in there for now. So, I just need to take these off. Use my trusty spanner. See, I know all the terms and all the technicals. There we go, look at that. Brilliant, brilliant news. I do own spanners somewhere. I do, I promise. I just couldn't find them. And I didn't have the time to look for them. Right, come on, you. Come on, you. So now we see, will that come out of there? Look at that. That is a man in his prime, that is. Right, this wood's gonna break in a minute. There you go. Haha. So now we put that straight through here. I'm assuming we're missing something that tightens that up. I think we were better off replacing these, put the new one on, but I won't do that right now because unless I know it's going to work, then there's not much point. So that clearly moves, and then that holds it. I mean, we'll WD it and we'll fix it up. We'll go back outside in 1 second, but I want to tell you about this article that a viewer sent me related to finding out about the Lefima kit. And it's on a website called Beat It TV, which admittedly could have been a very different type of website. But it's titled Drums from the Eastern Bloc. And there are lots of manufacturers that I've never heard of, such as Epoemi and Cosmos. But basically, there were lots of interesting kits on here, which sort of resemble Ludwig drums and things like that. I say sort of, I mean a drum kit to a certain extent is going to look like a drum kit. But there were some really interesting kits on here. That one, for example, this Hungarian one, the Dezo Dubon? I don't know how you pronounce that. They look like Ludwig lug boxes to me. And there were just some really interesting kits. I really like this one from Hungary. It's called the Medveki Spadzerski, and it's in a really interesting colour, although I think that one's been refinished. But I'll link the article. I just wanted to tell you about it because I thought it was super interesting. Admittedly, I haven't read the entire thing, but it just got me thinking, has anybody out there got one of these kits? And if they have, you know, is there any chance we can have a chat, basically? I'd love to kind of get a bit more information and get some kind of first-hand accounts of, you know, what are these drums like? Because I'm sure some of them are very good. I really don't know. But I just never even thought about the fact that there'd be all these kits from the communist era that, like, I just wouldn't have heard of. I mean, it's not something that's ever crossed my mind, but some of them are really cool. So yeah, I just wanted to tell you about that because I thought some of you might find it interesting as well. For now though, let's get back to the Lefima kit. What I think I might do is tip all this out into the bass drum. Should we do that? That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Okay. Now we can have a proper look. So I won't put that on right now, but we've definitely got both bass drum, as I can't see from here, we've got both bass drum legs, which is good news. Let's move on then and see if we can find all the rest of the lug boxes for the bass drum. That's the big concern for me. If I can't find those, I'm gonna have to replace one of them. What I noticed last time was that we were missing basically the outside of these lug boxes. They're quite an unusual design. So we've got a flat blade screw on the inside, and then that clearly tightens to one of these. What we're missing from the bass drum itself is these bits, and I need to find 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What I would need to do if I'm going to rebuild this kit is I'm going to need to replace 2 lug boxes effectively, or rather find 2 of those end pieces. If you know anyone or have any yourself of these, please do contact me. You can contact me through my website or through Instagram at HarryWestonC. If you have 2 of these, then I could do with them, please, and I will happily pay you money for them. Real money. By real money, I don't mean a lot of money. I just mean that it will actually be, it will be real. You can spend it. Worst case, I was thinking I could get maybe some Premier bits, and since this kit's been butchered to hell anyway, so what? I just put them at the bottom, so we'd put them here. But yeah, it's a shame we're missing 2. However, that's better than I thought, actually. I was worried that they'd all be gone. I'm not seeing anything towards tom holders, but that's fine as well, because the tom itself is fine. We've got all the bits for that. We can put that back together, and then we just put it on a snare drum stand. That's absolutely fine. The one thing we don't have is the floor tom leg brackets. Let's see if we can work that one out. Okay, this is good though. I'm more optimistic now we've had this look at it. So I need to get hold of a pre-international drum skin to go on the other side of the bass drum. We'll change the lug boxes, put the other bass drum leg bracket on, and then we can rebuild the bass drum. Of course, I'll totally strip it first and we'll give it a proper good clean. Might even refurb the bass drum hoops. I'm wondering if I respray them because they're incredibly faded. Maybe we respray them. I've done that before. Just go same colour. I can find a pre-international skin. I don't think I've got one already. And then we can rebuild the bass drum. That's great news. Won't bother with the tom bracket. We'll just mount it off a stand for the high tom. So let's work out that floor tom. I think I've been looking at this upside down, you know. Most built-in dampeners on drums tend to be in the top, don't they? They're on the top skin. This has a built-in dampener. There But I was looking at that like it was the bottom of the drum, but I'm actually starting to think that's the top of the drum, which would mean that it comes in half at the bottom. Now, this means, as we've established, this was not a factory Russian doll kit. It's been rewrapped and it's had these bits put in, but I think that this is now the bottom of the floor tom, which makes sense because we have the holes there and that is it. So how do we mount the legs to this floor tom? There are no other holes in it. And there's even one here that's been actually plugged. Look, you see that there? That has actually been plugged. There are 2 holes here, yeah. There are 2 holes here. Go around the rest of the drum. There are not 2 holes. So how do we mount the floor tom legs? That means that probably is the top, which is fine. And you would normally mount the brackets in the bottom, yeah, fine. So I think the best thing to do, since it's already so heavily butchered, is to just buy some floor tom leg brackets from like an old Olympic kit or an old Premier kit. We'll just drill it and put them on. And that way we've got the floor tom, haven't we? Then we've got the whole kit. Bass drum, high tom and floor tom, using pretty much none of its original parts. Since filming this video, I've been trawling the internet for a donor kit, and so far the closest I've managed to get was this very rough Premier kit on Marketplace. At first glance it may appear to be total trash, but actually if the seller would have accepted my £50 offer, I think I could have made it work. Maybe. My plan was to buy the kit, sell the Zildjian crash cymbal, which I believe to be worth around £40 to £60 depending on which model it turned out to be. I could have sold the hardware for £20, sold the cheap snare drum for a tenner, or maybe even given it away as it was fairly rough. Then I could have taken the floor tom leg brackets and legs as they are, potentially taken 2 of the lug boxes from the floor tom to use underneath the batter side of the bass drum so they're well hidden. I could have used the bass drum claws on the batter side of the bass drum too, provided the original Lefima tension bolts would fit into them. Then finally I would have stripped the remainder of the shells for parts, with vintage Premier bits being worth a few quid after all. For example, the vintage die-cast steel hoops on the floor tom are worth a decent bit of money by themselves. Not to mention that piccolo snare drum, which I believe to be a Dixon drum, judging by those round, bulbous lug boxes. Spell bulbous.
Bulbous is spelled B-U-L-B-O-U-S.
I always loved the word bulbous. I think this could have made a nice addition to the Lefima kit itself, fitting in with its small stature, although I would have definitely needed to replace those badly pitted hoops and given it some fresh skins. Perhaps I should have paid the asking price, but to be honest, it was a little bit far away. It would have been a 4-hour round trip, and just looking at the overall condition of everything and not knowing the thread compatibility and just how well everything was going to work out, also that Zildjian cymbal, it could well have been cracked. If you see it on that stand there, it hasn't even got as much as a cymbal sleeve to protect its bell, so it could have well been dodgy, to be honest. So that's why I didn't buy the kit. I'll keep looking out, but what do you think? Should I pay the 70 quid, or was it just a little bit too much of a stretch? If you know any more about this kit, do let me know. And I appreciate people have emailed me and messaged me on Instagram and all that kind of stuff, and that's really, really nice. So, next video, we'll strip it all down, and then we'll start rebuilding it, shall we? The Lefima kit will work. It will be played again. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Leave a big thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe to see some more content from me in the future. There's some great stuff coming out, and give me a follow on Instagram if you want to connect and stuff. It's at HarryWestonC, and I'll see you next time.